let's just start with a number. 8%. What's that? Well, that is the slice of global CO2 emissions that comes from making just one thing, cement. And to put that into perspective, if the entire cement industry were a country, it would be the third biggest polluter on the planet. Just wow.
So this brings us to a huge question. I mean, look around. Concrete is absolutely everywhere. We can't just stop using it. So how in the world do we fix the very foundation of our civilization without tearing it all down?
You might think the big problem is all the fuel burned to heat up the kilns, right? Well, that's a chunk of it, about 40%. But the real issue, the other 60%, comes from a basic chemical reaction. Think about that for a second. It means that even if we switch to 100% green energy tomorrow, we'd still have a massive emissions problem.
The process is called carbon mineralization. And the core idea is actually pretty simple. You're taking CO2 gas and converting it back into a stable, solid mineral. You're literally turning pollution back into stone. How cool is that?
So how does it actually work in practice? It's basically a simple three-step recipe. First, you inject captured CO2 directly into a fresh batch of wet concrete. Then, that CO2 immediately starts to react with the calcium that's already in the cement. And finally, it forms these tiny solid particles that get locked into the concrete matrix forever. It actually becomes part of the structure. And this is where it gets really clever. This isn't just one benefit. It's a true two-for-one deal for the climate. On one hand, you get carbon removal, right? The CO2 is permanently captured and stored away. But on the other hand, you also get emissions avoidance, because it turns out this process actually makes the concrete stronger. And if the concrete is stronger, what does that mean? It means you need less cement to begin with. We're talking up to 6% less cement in the mix. So you're trapping old CO2 while preventing new CO2 from being created in the first place. That is a seriously powerful combination. And don't think this is just some niche idea. It is becoming big business. The market for this stuff is projected to absolutely skyrocket, from just under $1.5 billion today to over $7.6 billion by 2033. That kind of money tells you the industry is betting big on this tech. This really points to a massive shift in how we think about carbon. As one expert put it, the ultimate vision isn't just to lock away past CO2 by burying it underground, but by building with it. Just imagine that for a second. What if the cities of tomorrow weren't just places we live, but were structures that are actively healing our climate?